ABC 10's Van 2 with our Dollars and Cents team asking people in our area if they think this new stimulus is enough.
I'm basically getting laid off from the new job I just got a few weeks ago.
A one-time $600 stimulus payment and $300 weekly federal unemployment bonus will be a lifeline thrown as Brian Walton has nearly drowned financially several times this year. The COVID relief deal struck by Congress, he says, is long overdue.
While they're doing all that arguing,
everybody just keep an eye on for your mailbox and check out your bank account for a stimulus check. And because the fourth stimulus check is coming out very soon, you want to be taking a look at your mailbox, your bank accounts, and other things like that to make sure you don't miss out on this very crucial stimulus check. Because remember, everybody, the whole goal of this channel is to provide you with the most up-to-date and reliable stimulus check information. I want to do my very best in providing you guys with this information and stimulus news. I spent hours making this video, and it's important for me to provide you guys with the most important information. So, it would mean a lot to me if you guys can watch this video. So far, the year ended with a mixed picture for the economy. The Fed already preferred inflation measure, indicating that price increases are very, very much too high. But in regard to stimulus payments and Social Security, well, prices are surging due to record inflation. The federal government is debating on providing relief across the United States, and the last stimulus payment was provided in 2021. So right now it's kind of 2 years late for a stimulus check, but it's never too late, everybody, for a stimulus payment to be sent out. Because right now, the Democratic lawmakers introduced a new bill to increase the state child tax credit for the working families, just in an effort to address rising levels of poverty in New York. A bill to create the New York State Working Families Tax Credit would actually increase the state child tax credit program to $1,500 per child, up from $500. And this will expand the eligibility to people under 4 years old. So far, it's for single taxpayers who make an adjusted gross income of $25,000 or less. You'll be getting stimulus checks in your mailbox, folks. That's official, and that's true. It's the senator's top priority for the next state budget, and he'll be pushing the governor of New York, Kathy Hochul, to include it in a final spending bill on April 1st. Hopefully it's not an April Fool's joke, because the state of New York is also flush with cash for now. It has uncertain financial outlook over the next 5 years, but New York's budget is expected to have a $6 billion budget bill, and that's a lot of money that people can get in stimulus payments. This tax credit has existed since '97, so it wasn't really part of the stimulus bill, but Joe Biden greatly expanded the credit for American families back in 2021. It's not a surprise, though, that the child tax credit expansion resulted in such an unprecedented reduction in households experiencing food insecurity. 15% of households in 2020 experienced food insecurity, compared with 12.5% in 2021. This means that as a result of the expansion, 2.5 million fewer children lived in households that experienced food insecurity, even though the cost of food has just increased by 12% since October. Now, the number of Americans filing new unemployment claims and benefits edged higher last week, but remain in a range indicating the U.S. job market remains very, very high. Even as the Fed Reserve works to cool demand for labor as part of its bid to lower inflation, initial claims for state unemployment benefits rose again to 9,000. Folks, what this means is that a seasonally adjusted 225,000 for the week ending in January. The Labor Department said that many people are unemployed and that stimulus payments are necessary. And who is going to disagree with the unemployment benefits? Stimulus checks have to be sent out. Stimulus checks should be sent out sooner than later, because what else is Joe Biden doing right now? We all know that many payments should be deposited and mailed out to the low income. Folks, don't forget about this. Yahoo News reports that people have been throwing away free money on their own. On their own free will, that is. Yeah, it is true. Residents in California have accidentally tossed out $1,000, $1,050 middle class tax refund checks. It's the biggest relief check in state history, and people are missing out on this payment because they're throwing in the trash cans. They're not checking their mailbox and not checking their bank account. That's a big mistake, and so be sure to check your mailbox and be sure to check your bank account, because stimulus payments are still underway, folks. We know this is the facts.
To December, 223,000. We continue to see these numbers get closer and closer to 200, but historically, these are still good numbers. And if we look at manufacturing payrolls increased about 8,000, darn close to expectations. 3.5% on the unemployment rate, 3.5%. That equals the best levels we've seen post-COVID, historically unbelievably good. And of course, if you're looking at the Fed, maybe it's unbelievably bad in that twisted relationship we now have due to the Fed raising rates, trying to slow down the economy. If we look at average hourly earnings, up 0.3%, half of last month's up 0.6, which actually now becomes only up 0.4. And if we look at year over year, up 4.6, that's a new low watermark going all the way back to August of 21 when it was 4.3. And if we look at the average work week, 34.3, which usurps 34.4 in the rearview mirror. That was the lowest level since April of 2020. So these are very important numbers to pay attention to as we continue to see deterioration on the work week. Labor force participation. Okay, I'm going to cheer this one, folks. 62.3, and so far in the rearview mirror, 62.1 unrevised. 62.3 is the best number since the high water mark, which was...
So there is an amazing deal for new stimulus checks, everybody, from President Biden, Democrats, and Republicans. Hopefully, everybody, President Biden can step up to the plate and help out the American people with stimulus payments. If you think you can, then tell me in the comments. So we have a lot of good news to cover about the fourth stimulus check. You want to be sure to stay until the end of the video to find out the most important information. You don't want to miss out on this. So as early as June, new stimulus payments will be available in Maine, and over 800,000 Americans stand to receive the benefits. The $1.2 billion supplemental budget proposal by Governor Janet Mills was passed into law on April 20th. And after the bill was passed, the governor said, what this budget shows once again is through hard work and negotiations that Democrats and Republicans can come together on what is right for the people of Maine. Now, estimates show that about 850,000 residents of Maine will receive checks, with individual taxpayers with an income of up to $100,000 all eligible. Now that figure becomes $150,000 if you're a head of household, or $200,000 if you're filing jointly. Older residents and lower income homeowners and tenants have also been offered a property tax relief. Additionally, $20 million will be set aside to fund up to 2 years of free community college for students who are eligible and either have or plan to graduate between 2020 and 2023. There is also $3 million in legal funds to help the lobster industry, which is crucial to Maine as they fight the federal government over rules protecting endangered species. What was missing and many had expected to feature was extra funding for legal services for the poorest residents in Maine. Social Security beneficiaries may also see an increase very soon in monthly benefits. Inflation is actually hurting some communities hard as the crisis evolves, and despite more than 170 million payments being sent out in the third round of stimulus checks, the fourth stimulus payment is still being pushed for. The Senior Citizens League, a nonpartisan advocacy group, started a pressure campaign to push Congress to send those receiving Social Security additional stimulus money. In a letter to leaders of Congress, the chairman called for one-off payments of $1,400 for people that are seniors. Such a measure could actually help defray the cost associated for some seniors from the 2022 COLA, which was the highest in 40 years. That pushes them into a higher tax bracket. This all in reaction to the high levels of inflation that the American economy is dealing with. Prices across the country are reaching record highs, and for those on a fixed income like Social Security, they're seeing rapid decreases in their purchasing power. The Bureau of Labor Statistics have reported that since October 2020, consumers are paying on average 6.2% more across the market. Prices of food are going up 5.3%, while energy costs are up more than 30%.